to misrepresent myself.
Right, exactly. Maybe you can tell us later.
Yeah, sure.
All right. But we normally start off with we go to the African continent, every country, a different country every week. Dennis, tell us where we are this week, and I'd love to get your interpretation of the proverb that he'll share.
We are in Eritrea, got independence in 1993 after 30 years of war with Ethiopia. So they don't have a written constitution, considered to be the North Korea of Africa because of how close it is. If you're planning to visit there, make sure you have your dollars on you because ATMs don't exist.
H.
Yes, just so you know. But let's talk about the proverb. You can graduate with honors and still lack common sense. How would you interpret it?
You can graduate with honors,
Yes,
but still lack.
common sense.
It takes me to being educated and learned.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a difference.
You can go through the school system, but the system might not go through you.
Well,
Hey.
yeah.
Okay.
Nilipitia tu nikapiga kura. Nikaenda home.
Okay.
Kuna
Wow.
kupitia shule.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's look at mental health a little bit, but we're definitely not going to get through all of it today. But then if we're confining this to the workspace, but first of all, let's look at a couple of definitions when we talk about mental health or the depressed state of mental health, if that's a thing. We normally say, well, you have mental health issues or there's mental health. What are we talking about when we're talking about mental health from a psychological point of view?
Good question. So basically, I would say the ability that we have to manage in the environment that we are in. If you stress, how able are you to cope through that dynamic? That is basically it. And am I in a position to understand when things are way off limits? Am I able to understand when off limits as well? And what can I do? That is basically what mental wellness is.
So if I'm not able to manage it, then then I am not mentally healthy? Oh, okay.
So one would ask the question then.
Yes.
Today I'm not feeling well. Nasikia niko na stress.
Okay.
But my boss would not let me. I don't even know how to approach my boss to let them know that today I'm not in a good headspace.
Oh, sure.
But I'm still coming to work and I'm expected to deliver. What would that do to my situation? And how does that then affect the outcome of the work, whatever it is I'm doing?
Good question. And I feel, just like you've brought it up, we have visible vis-a-vis the invisible signs and symptoms of mental health. And mostly we concentrate on the visible aspect of it. We wait for that dramatic breakdown. That's when we act. But then we have the invisible aspect of it where you're present, but you're not present. We call that presentism. You're there, but your mind literally is not there, isn't it? So there's I would say a sink in productivity. What you're used to doing, but yet you come here, you can even barely construct a sentence, you can barely, And I feel when it comes to the cost when it comes to a company setup or an organization setup, there's a lot of poor decision making, and not only that, but even a sink in productivity on a human level. And so I feel the gap that is there, and you can bear me witness when managers go for, let's say, trainings. Normally it's about the operations. It's normally about how do we make finances work for this company, but barely are they trained through the emotional presence of their employees. And I feel that's where the gap is. And as he asked, can I go to my boss and talk to him or her about it? And I feel the stigma that is attached to it, whatever information I'm taking there is likely
To be
used against you. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
The workplace is one of the places generally in life where we humans spend a lot of our time.
Very
Because
true.
if you look at like a normal standard shift, it would be like 8 hours. You don't even get to spend that much time in your own bed.
Very true.
Within 24 hours.
Yes.
Very few people will sleep for 8 hours. Or with any other activity. So it's a place where we interact with ourselves, with others, with systems, with targets, with performance.
Yes.
All these things. When it is set right, you're saying the person can be correct. So the issue of adaptability, I guess what you was alluding to, me as a person being able to manage the stress, the shifting dynamics comes into play.
Very true.
Sometimes we see people have a meltdown because of the stress from the work that they must do to meet their livelihood.
Very true.
So if they take time off to go manage the stress, then their lives will crumble because the company has targets. The company has expectations. The company pays you to take care of their interests as you take care of your own interests.
Very true.
So for the company, we may not be very interested in investing in the person because we can easily hire another person who is a bit more balanced.
Even more.
Yes.
So, the cost and effect and returns comes into play.
Very true.
But those whom we see meltdown, sometimes we can help. But you spoke about something very significant, the unseen sickness.
Yes.
The unseen only comes out when you hear somebody, either they took their own life or they just resigned or something tragic happened.
Very true.
What would be the telltale signs where I will know, Dennis, my guy here, now things are shifting,
Yeah.
What would be the telltale signs at the workplace? Because again, people are not very forthcoming because you don't get very vulnerable at the workplace.
Yes.
As you said, the stigmatization, the discrimination, the profiling may come into play. But what would be some of the things that you see and say, your friend here, much as they're not talking about it, something is loud enough to be seen?
Good question. And let me reference that to baseline behavior. Okay?
Right.
There's a way we know you act in a normal day setup. You come in, say hi to people, hug, but all of a sudden some baseline behaviors have changed. We normally realize that you used to go to do lunch at 1 p.m., but you barely now doing lunch. You used to do gali, but now you're doing some strong tea.
Maybe you're broke.
Yes, you could be broke, but most probably there's something that might be happening. And when it comes to the psychological aspect of it, those are the baseline behaviors that we look at: mood, appetite, and sleep.
Please repeat.
Yes,
Because someone is hungry this morning.
appetite, and sleep. And when you talk about appetite, we mean, are you in your normal consistency of consumption of food? You used to do the 3 meals, but now you can even barely go with one. Again, that's alarming, right? You used to observe maybe your dinner time at this particular time, but you barely do dinner because there's no appetite at all. The drive towards you eating, isn't it? Isn't there. When it comes to sleep, disturbed sleep patterns, talk of oversleeping, talk of insomnia, hyper and, yes, those are the baseline behaviors that we look at. And now when we come to work, there's that person who barely comes to work late. But now they've started.
Fine, continue the diagnosis.
I told you
I
when you
ain't
were asking
diagnosing
how
anyone at all. But yes,
come out clean.
baseline behaviors. Talk of over-presentism. You come here, you get the person here, you leave them in the office as well. Again, that is something to look into. This person has a family, but barely is this person even spending time with his or her family, right? So those are the baseline behaviors that we look into. And it doesn't, just like I've said, we don't wait for that dramatic, show of someone being upset or mentally unfit, someone screaming anyhowly. There's also the gradual symptoms that grow into that. Yes, so that's what we look into.
So the baseline basically refers to now the change of routine.
Yes.
How we have no need to operate under pressure and otherwise becomes now more alarming, more concerning.
Very true.
Well, as humans, we are very innovative. People have invented a self-healing mechanism.
Yes.
So if insomnia is the issue, I'll find my way to some pharmacy and induce myself to sleep.
Yes.
If eating is the issue, then I'll do takeaways, which might affect my health, and all those things. So when it comes to now self-care,
Yes.
basically,
Yes.
They're the do-it-yourself things.
Mm-hmm.
Work, we must work.
Yes.
Live, we must,
Very
life is
true.
for the living.
Very true.
What would be the coping mechanisms once you realize things are getting off hand? Because the first person to know is yourself.
Very true.
Before others notice,
Very
is
true.
yourself. Before
Very
your
true.
boss notices you're lacking on your targets, your reporting system is different, you're coming
Very
in
true.
late. You yourself, you feel the shift within you.
Very true.
What would be some of the coping mechanisms that would help us to remain balanced, amidst the turmoil
Very
of
true.
life? Before it becomes clinical, we're still at the phase whereby I can salvage myself now. Yes.
Good question. And I feel just like you've said, and you're very correct actually on that, with the people who start feeling the change in the routine. And the first person to know that I'm off balance is yourself, and not your neighbor, not your friend, not your partner, not your spouse, right? And I feel the moment you start feeling like you're off the hook, clearly, the first thing is track and acknowledge what is it that has changed. If it's sleep, how do I enhance a sleep hygiene program? I'm overly sleeping. Check on what has been happening through your days. What has changed? And again, I understand this is a subject that has been stigmatized. And when I walk to a friend and I'm telling them, you know what, I'm barely sleeping nowadays because of work, the first thing they will tell you is, thank God you have a job. Imagine.
Maybe they're trying to inspire an attitude of gratitude.
Which would determine your altitude.
But you're belittling
the problem.
The problem. You're minimizing the problem.
Right.
And it doesn't mean I'm complaining about the job. It is what has come with the job. You get? So ways of coping, again, I would advise someone to talk to someone who can listen. Be selective on who you're talking to. If you're in a space where you can seek professional help, well and good, the better.
Why is it so difficult? But why is it so difficult to seek professional help for mental health? It's a no-brainer. If you've had a fever and a headache for a couple of days, you're going to see the doctor.
Very true.
Why is it then a thing whereby some of these, what did you call them, baseline behaviors, which you notice for the first time for yourself? It doesn't have to be somebody noticing it for you. If you realize that your eating pattern has changed, you're not sleeping as well as you should, you really have maybe become a social recluse and they're not interested in having these, what would be conversations with other people, you know that something is off. Why don't we make the connection like we do physiologically in the same manner psychologically?
Good question. I feel there's a gap in knowledge. A very big gap in knowledge. Physical health is highly noticeable, but mental health can be overlooked. Right? And we're coming from a society, a community whereby kukaa ngumu, that's the spirit.
Joe,
That's the spirit. Staying strong. And I feel the much that you can withstand, the stronger you are. And again, mental health.
It's not true.
Very true. And mental health has been our Zungu thing, quote unquote. We feel it's a westernized thing. And how can you be stressed and talk to someone badilisha anything that you're going through? That is the analogy that we have out there, isn't it? So I feel, again, the gap that we have and the fact that there's a way we viewed mental health and the stigma around it, that is one of the blockage of us accessing help.
In all places, so I have my KPIs, my deliverables, my reporting time, my living time, biometrics have to be in check. Those are things that when you're getting in, you must go through all that checklist.
Very true.
But our workplaces are, in your opinion, designed to look beyond that. Would you say that our workplaces, especially in the country today, are structured to deal with mental health issues? Or is it just come in, deliver, bye-bye, we see you tomorrow? The only point where we touch base is at biometrics, at payment, and at dismissal or disciplinary?
I would say, and sorry to say this, I think it's only good on paper.
or the mental health question is good on paper.
When it comes to, you walk into the company and they tell you we quite capital on your mental health, but meetings. We are highly called for meetings just to discuss performance. But have you ever been called in a meeting to maybe someone inquiring on how you've been on a human nature?
HR, you see HR.
HR. Think you've brought the issue on HR. And I feel many employees tend to feel that the HR is pro-company. That's how many employees feel.
Okay.
Anything, anytime, the HR will always side with the company. Is it a gap in knowledge? Again, there are no clear structures on communication. How long will this issue be addressed? How long will it take? And at times when you take an issue to the HR, again, as per perception of many employees, it is more of reporting and not solution seeking. You remember in not high school, but even in many schools where there's the guidance and counseling department, how did students feel when it came to going to those departments? You get? Yes, I just go private with the issue, and the next time the entire staff room knows what is going through.
You're given Panadol.
Exactly. You get? And a teacher was never said hi to you.
Begins
saying hi to you. So how would a student feel in that space? Right? So we need to come up with a culture that enhances that privacy of information. Again, let's see visible outcomes. Visible outcomes in a work dynamic. Yes.
Well, indeed, confidentiality is a concern.
Very true.
For those who have stepped out to seek for help. And I would want to encourage anybody at this moment, whatever you're struggling with, talk to someone, a friend, a stranger, a professional help. Seek help because we have lost a lot as a community, as Kenya, as families, as society, due to just people not seeking help. And also, I believe people who have sought help have felt let down in one or the other because perhaps they spoke to the wrong person, professionalism was not well conducted, or culture came into play. Because there's an element of culture, what you're saying, that sometimes we feel it's unmanly or un-African or whatever grouping you identify with, to come out, go speak with somebody, and then your problems will fade away. So there is that. So I would want to call upon everybody to seek help. So even as you carry on with this conversation, it'd be important to say, other than the professionals like yourself who exist, what are the other forms of intervention people can seek to ease the burden that they're dealing with? Because if you go to work, as you're saying, HR, and you report issues, some people are very borderline. Some people have lost jobs because of opening up about what they're dealing with, especially when the issue is not work related. It could be a personal issue from home, but it is affecting your performance at work.
Very true.
People have been dismissed for that and much less. So how do you build this congruence, an environment where we also see people for whom they are as humans, not just as machines or as employees at their workplace? And these people, where else can they seek help if the company does not have sufficient capacity at the moment?
Thank you for that. Let me say it begins with you, right? And at times we model behavior. So if someone comes to you with something that is quite intimate, why would you then hold a press conference with it?
Okay.
You get? I feel we should be very receptive to people coming to us, but then understand that there is equally burnout that comes with feeling like you need to solve each and every person's problem, right? So I feel when someone comes to you and you feel you're not in a position to help, you can refer them to some safer space. We equally have institutions where we have pro bono services. We have churches that are well equipped by counselors, which is very good. We have public hospitals that have very nice working mental departments. Equally, that could help, because there is the assumption that mental health is expensive. Oh, it costs an arm. right? So I feel spaces where people can get not only professional, but a space where confidentiality is highly, highly guaranteed, it will open up to them seeking help. Yes.
You see, we talk about mental health, in workplaces, but let's just go back on where the country finds itself in. There is a paper that was done that has put mental health as a ticking time bomb for the country,
Yeah.
So in terms of mental health as a policy that the government has put in place, but that then is cascaded down then to workplaces. Say you come to a Seto PLC and I need to have a HR policy, a mental health policy that protects my staff, that protects my team. Is that the way to go? Because like you've said, for a very long time, I have mental health issues, but many fear to go to HR because we see HR as being pro the company.
Very
but
true.
then should it be intentional that we have workplaces putting in place mental health policies that would enable their staff to see a professional or refer to a professional attached to the company to help address those problems? Because at that point, I am dealing with a professional and there is client to doctor, secrets.
Yeah, I have seen many companies that have sought out outside the company, avenues where their employees can get help. And there's something known as the EAP, Employee Assistance Program, where you put on board maybe an institution, may it be a mental wellness institution, whereby employees can always feel free to come to you, because there is no alliance with the company. And again, with that professionalism, at least anything that you share with this person will not be exposed to your company. Yes. Yes, and we have even wellness programs. Actually, something that I love, companies are doing the wellness program. You hear the mental wellness week, they call in professionals, you get. I think that is a very good platform, even for employees.
I'm just here to say I attended one last week, so...
Oh, well done.
Oh, good testimony right there,
Now, we are living in a very modernized society.
Sure.
It's becoming a global village. But much as the world has become smaller, isolation has increased. Technology has come into play. I've seen in other countries that they're looking at loneliness is now a crisis. Because people are so isolated, things are so automated, there is very less human interaction.
Very true.
Is that playing out in Kenya now?
Definitely, yes. Yes, with technology, yes. So there's minimal human interaction. And I think that has intensified and even elevated the number of mental wellness issues that has been there. Depression is on a spike, right? And I feel the fact that we, even now, even as we speak, I know that some of us barely know our neighbors. Our next door neighbors. We barely know them. You just get in your space, you do your business, get out and, you run your business without any human interaction, And I feel we are social human beings, and that minimal interaction could be contributing to a spike of some of the mental illnesses that we have. Yes.
Perhaps.
Okay.
Well, there's another element I realize. There's a predisposition, the genetic predisposition.
Yes.
Where some people are susceptible to certain conditions.
Very true.
Could be mood, personality, and other disorders, which are not easily diagnosed in the early years of a human, but they'll play out later. Then this person finds themselves at work where they were a very high-performing person. But because of a genetic predisposition, the disease starts to manifest, and now it affects them unknowingly. Maybe it has never been, the family history never indicated it. So there is such a person. I'm creating a scenario.
Yes.
Then you meet this person, and they become your spouse. There's no full disclosure. It's limited, either because they don't know or they hold back because of stigma.
Very true.
And rejection. How do we balance the two? The intention to establish healthy relations, because even the same applies when people are seeking employment. They will not disclose the underlying conditions that they have, which eventually play out in the workplace and affect the mental health. So how do you find the balance and increase acceptability? That there are some conditions people must live with, and it's not their making. But we need to have a society where everybody exists and functions at their optimal.
Thank you. I, that is a very interesting concern, and thank you for bringing it up. And at times, just like you said, at times we're not open with some of our underlying conditions. And basically it's because of stigma. Whatever information we relay out there might be used against us, even by our partners. You get? And there are some personality disorders, that's true. And situations that are genetic, and there's nothing, sadly, that we can do about it. So what we do is psycho-educate this other person on how to manage the new situation. Okay? I will not, as an HR, I'll not do away with you because you have bipolar. Doesn't make sense. So how do I make the HR to be in a position where he or she can accommodate you with that situation? How do I psycho-educate your partner to understand when your moods are elevated? How do they deal with you at that point? So I feel what needs to be addressed here is the knowledge gap in that environment. Not only to the person, but also to those around them. How do they give them support? How do they understand them? Yes.
Just looking at some numbers here, and just maybe what people then have been able to report, is that there is an elevated use of substance in the workplace as coping strategies for whatever stress or mental health inadequacies that people might be facing. And so people are coming to work having been inebriated or continue that process through the day to just kind of be able to get by. And so what we have now is a lot of drug dependency of people who are essentially functioning with the substance. How do you deal with it if you are the one in it, or if you are the one who has noticed it?
Good question. One, let's not demonize the fact that they reached out to that drug as a solace. Let's not demonize that, right? But instead, offer healthy alternative ways. And as human beings, we rush to get that something that gives us immediate relief. You have an headache, someone tells you to go and sleep, you feel like you're wasting that time as you're sleeping. There's something else that you could be doing. And that's why we rush to get immediate relief out of a tough situation that we could be in. And when it comes to substance abuse, it's true. I think around 59 to 60% in a recent research actually of civil servants quite susceptible to stress, and they are self-medicating, they are abusing substances. And I feel in that situation, we need to psycho-educate them on alternative, healthy ways to cope. Yes, that are practical.
This is somebody who is I mean, I've seen even somebody made a comment here and talking about things like vape breaks, and that people are taking a break where you normally go grab a coffee to go have something that is going to keep you in an alternate space. Because this is the thing, by the time somebody's having a drink, they're trying to get to an alternate space.
Very true.
There is a section of reality that you don't want to have to deal with sober. This is the case. This is there is pain, there's uncomfortability, there is stress, there is a depressed mental state for whatever reason. And that you have to be in this space to work. You have to be around people. Unfortunately, the only way you can cope with the situation is to have something that is going to alter your reality.
Very true.
How do I come and have a conversation with you? Because you've already decided that I cannot operate in this space if I have to be of sound mind and thought. So I am taking something to alter that reality. I'm far gone by the time that I don't want to have to deal with you or a situation in a workspace where we have to deliver a result when I don't have something that's going to help me cope. That's a pretty, you've gone pretty far in that situation. So how is Dennis coming to tell me? I've already made the decision that in order for me to get through the day, I need to be on a cloud over here. How is Dennis coming to tell me, okay, so Ndu, how about we go for a walk? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get.
So far removed from anything I want to hear at that moment.
Yeah.
Where do you even begin? I'm not even telling you my problem. Dennis has just noticed that maybe I'm a little bit kooky every now and then. So he said, "Is everything okay?" How are you coming to tell me then that maybe you should explore something else? This is the real thing that we're dealing with now. Very
true. And getting someone out of a space that he or she feels is the only way they can function, it's difficult. Getting Dennis out of that space where he knows I have to vape for me to function, I have to do a slim or two for me to function, then it needs a lot of psychoeducating this person first to see the dangers that are there out of the dependency they have on this substance. Right? Because again, if he's decided on something, it could be quite difficult for me to change the thought. So the first step always is psychoeducating the person to understand the dangers that are there, or the dangers that they predisposed to. Okay? Then come in and look at, are there alternative, healthy ways for them to navigate through it? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we also live in a society where matters to do with mental health is something that we really do not discuss as much. The stereotypes that do exist. You tell someone about, many actually don't talk about it, because if you talk about mental health, the next thing someone thinks about is, we need to take you to Madare.
Very true.
And many have really stayed away from that because I don't want to be judged based on how I'm feeling. So you find people stay with their problems. You look at issues today, whether they talk about the military, we see the cases that we talk about in the military, and these are individuals who serve the country on a daily basis. There's no time when, even when you're on leave as a military man, you can be recalled at any given time. Talk about doctors, even doctors themselves just seeking these assistance, knowing very well the pressure that they go through. We don't want to talk about it because of the stereotype that does exist.
Very true.
How do we have these conversations, not in professional spaces, but we make it a dinner time conversation? We make it a conversation where your child can talk to you, Dad, Mom, I'm not feeling well, my mental space. Is it possible? Are we headed there? If not, how do we get there?
Good question. And in the list, you should have included psychologists in it as well.
Psychologists, yes.
Yes, we're equally sick to some extent.
Okay.
Yeah. And let me start by saying we need to normalize conversations. Just like you said, we need to start by showing our children it is okay not to be okay. It is okay to express emotions, and not telling that little boy that you have, be a man. Stop crying
Boys
like a lady.
Cry.
Exactly. Because we've grown up in such a society. And sadly, some practices that we've been exposed to in the society are quite retrogressive. Looking at it now, they are quite retrogressive. But then if we start by normalizing these conversations, and I'm happy with the media, come on, like rarely did we have conversations on mental health. Basically, it was more of physical health because that is what we've capitalized on. But even having a platform like this, normalizing conversations about mental health, I feel that's a tick. And is there a day that is coming that will normalize these conversations? Oh, yes. But it has to begin with us now, and you now.
Are we seeing more Kenyans having these conversations as compared to before? And
Very true.
What effect are we seeing that have to the communities and societies that we belong in?
In my line of practice, honestly, there's a lot of embrace when it comes to mental health. Many people are seeking mental health. and wellnesses. And I will start off with the Gen Zs, the young adults. Okay, when it comes to the
demographics,
the older generation is a little bit quite skeptical, but I understand where they're coming from. But now that we've been quite verbal about this, I feel the generation that is there nowadays is very embracive of mental health. And again, I love the autonomy that has come with that. The autonomy of it is okay not to be okay. Yes. And the autonomy of choosing themselves above everything else.
How far does the depression of mental health affect output in the workspace? Have there been studies, because people can measure these things and can measure the numbers in terms of percentages? If you have a group, because look, it's probably if we were to look around this building, it's probably very easy to establish that a lot of people are dealing with depressed levels of mental health. How does it affect output? And this is across board. How does it affect output if something like that has ever been measured? And would you say that if you were able to ensure that people around your workspace, with small business, large business, whatever, are serving optimally, that everything is in balance, that you will then be able to achieve said results? And if the inverse were true, that we have people who are, at some level suffering from, certain issues affecting the mental health. This is how it is affecting output. And that you could do better if your people were doing better.
I feel when it comes to the output, productivity, sadly, we always have to look at the productivity because it is measurable, right? And there's a healthy productivity when it comes to employees who are mentally well. And employee turnover, again, it's an art of in a space where mental health is well embraced. Yes. Turnover is another perspective that we look into. Again, the morale. As you're walking through those doors, how excited this person is to face whatever is in front of them. And the people who even dread coming to work. Again, that's something to look into. Always complaining about work this. I barely want to see my supervisor. Again, I feel in a space where mental wellness has been embraced, clearly, even the productivity of it is very visible. The decision making, again, the employee turnover minimally. Yes.
Let me start even more.
Okay.
You go to, say, an establishment where you find, say, in the morning, the way someone gets in, the way people engage, those would be measurable ways of looking at how bad the situation is. Now, look at a situation where majority of people in that space are generally just complaining on a daily basis. There is one problem after the other. What does what one would call a negative atmosphere, let me call it that, how does that get dealt with where majority of staff are dealing with mental health issues and are just discussing among themselves, like, today, this is my problem, I didn't feel like coming in today. The other one is, every time I come to work, it's just stress. What does that do to that company? And how can that company sort itself out?
I feel most companies deal with the symptoms and not the system. That's where the problem comes in. We're so quick into addressing the symptoms and not looking at the system. What is making these employees say whatever they're saying? What is making these employees less motivated? And I feel if we take time and focus on the ground, what is happening on ground, and not the surface understanding that managers might have. Let's deal with the people on the ground and address. And just like I said, let us see visible outcomes. Because if a particular position has been consistently having a turnover, it is not the position, but let's look at what is happening. Call in these people, let them give feedback. But then there is again a perception that most or some of the employees could have, that anytime we put it out there, it's never addressed. So what give me the motivation even to speak out? Again, if I'm stressed, come and maybe share it with my supervisor that this is how I feel. This might be a standard of me not getting maybe promoted.
Yeah.
Because if I'm dealing with this now as an assistant manager, how can I deal with it as a manager? You get? So I feel if our leaders or departmental heads looking into the system rather than the symptoms, then we would ace it at that. Yes.
So usually when you're dealt a physiological illness, you get medication, you are required to take a couple days off to rest so that your body can heal. Of course, depending with the severity of this physiological situation or the disease that you may be suffering at the time. Now, when we talk about mental health,
this is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.